So today we're talking about the Roman goddess Vesta, and more specifically, what she can tell you about your inner flame in astrology. This was super transformative for me, and it really helped me understand my passions and why I was having so much trouble pursuing them. So, how to recognize Vesta in your chart, how to use software to tell you where it is or add it to the chart of any other event or person you want to. Basics for interpreting Vesta by house and sign, plus there are 2 bonus tips at the end that have really helped me in my interpretation of Vesta, so I hope you enjoy. So Vesta was the Roman goddess of the hearth, and the Vestal virgins in ancient Rome were the keepers of the sacred flame. Here's a depiction of her in an ancient fresco, and you can see the flame on the left. This is from the Wikipedia page if you want to do more research about Vesta. Now, in astrology, the placement of our asteroid Vesta in our chart tells us where we are passionate. Where is our sacred flame lit? So for example, I've always loved old houses, and I could never figure out why until I understood my Vesta placement. Turns out I have Vesta in the 4th house, which is the house of home and hearth, and I have it conjunct Saturn, which is the planet that governs old things. So suddenly it all made sense. So it's a great way to pinpoint what helps make you passionate about life or about a new chapter in your life. If you create a chart for a new job, a vacation, or a specific event like moving into a new house. Vesta is represented by the symbol that looks like a V with a squiggle on top. That's pretty easy because it's V for Vesta, and the little squiggle represents sacred flame. Go to astro.com and click on Free Horoscopes. Scroll down until you get to Horoscope Drawings and Data and click on Extended Chart Selection. Once you're there, you can select the chart from the drop-down menu or add a new chart if you'd like. Once you've selected your chart, scroll all the way down to the bottom, all the way down, until you get to Additional Objects. Under Common Elements, select the drop-down menu and scroll down until you get to Asteroids. Make sure Vesta is selected at the very bottom. Then click Show the Chart, and you will have your chart with Vesta. Take a look for that squiggly V symbol with the little line, and that's where you'll find Vesta, the asteroid, in the chart. So the first question you want to ask is, what house is Vesta in? And we're just interpreting this with the regular house meanings in astrology. You can see that in this chart, Vesta is in the 6th house. So we'll just interpret that with our usual 6th house meanings. This is the chart for when I discovered astrology, and I'll probably find my inner flame in astrology in small daily moments, things that have to do with regular habits, perhaps things involving my health. This is a whole sign house chart, but you could also do this with Placidus houses or Koch houses or any houses that you want. Go ahead and experiment and see what house system seems the most accurate for you in reading your own inner flame. The next thing we'll do is interpret Vesta according to the sign. We can see that this is in the sign of Cancer, so I'll probably find my inner flame in astrology in doing things that are nurturing, that involve taking care of myself or others, or that involve emotional work. Interpreting Vesta becomes really powerful once you start taking into account its context in the chart. What is near Vesta? We can see this individual has Vesta in a tight conjunction with the ascendant and Mercury. So they probably find their inner flame in talking or thinking about things that relate to their own identity or their own perspective. That is to say, Vesta, the inner flame, is close to the ascendant, personal identity, and Mercury, the planet of thinking and communication. Since there's also a wide conjunction with Black Moon Lilith, their inner flame communication is likely to be idiosyncratic or on the social cutting edge. This individual's conjunction between Saturn and Vesta means they may enjoy Saturnian topics like old things, bringing things back to life, and they may also find it that they have a tendency to limit themselves in pursuing their inner flame, because limitation is another theme associated with Saturn. You can also interpret the bound and the term that the Vesta falls into, and you can turn both of these on in the astro.com extended chart selection where we found Vesta in the first place. In this case, we have a double Venus, which indicates that this person may enjoy talking about old topics that are especially related to femininity or that are traditionally related to women's roles. They may even start to feel that they are developing a relationship with some of these old items, all themes related to the planet Venus. So I've got 2 bonus tips for you today for working with Vesta. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm on my back for this. So one is to make sure that you look at the aspects to Vesta. In general, the more aspects there are, which are the little red and blue lines that connect Vesta to the other planets in your chart, the more aspects there are, the more integrated your passion and inner flame probably is with everything else that's going on in the rest of your life. And especially take note of any conjunctions or squares or oppositions to Mars or Saturn, because those are probably challenges that are going to come up when you are pursuing what is your inner flame. So like my Vesta is conjunct my Saturn, which means that even though it's my inner flame and I'm really excited about it, there's part of me that always wants to like limit myself and hold myself back in doing it. And it's square my Mars. So that means that when I pursue my inner flame, there's always some challenges from my Mars that come up around communication. And my Mars is conjunct Mercury in Virgo. So there's always communication or like troubleshooting issues that come up with that. So Vesta aspects. And then the second is to relocate your chart if you are not in the same time zone where you were born. So I was born on the West Coast, and my Vesta is natally in my 4th house. So I love home and hearth and house type things. But here in Dallas, Texas, I relocated my chart, and now it's in my 2nd house, which means I've acquired an extra love for possessions and buying things. So if you don't know how to relocate your chart, I'll just tell you briefly how you do it. You basically change your birthplace in the chart, and then you change the time zone according to the difference between the place where you were born and then where you're living now. So I was born on the West Coast, which is Pacific time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm now in Dallas, Texas, which is Central time, which is 2 hours later. So I relocated the place to Dallas, Texas, and then I changed the birth time to 9 p.m., adjusting it for the time zone. That gives you a new chart, which tells you how the influences in your natal chart have changed based on the place where you're living now. So why is interpreting Vesta powerful? You may be like, well, I already knew I liked makeup, or I already knew I liked old things, or whatever it is you've discovered so far. But think about this. In our society, we get taught to be productive, to be focused, to be thinking about the bottom line, to take care of others. And understanding your Vesta can help you see that actually you also need to spend time doing things that you love and enjoy. Think about what you've learned from interpreting the Vesta of your chart or of the chart of the event that you've created. And ask yourself, how much time do I actually devote to doing these things? And is there a way that I can take some of these things and then add in a little bit more of that into my normal routine of being productive and focused and everything else that I'm thinking about? But the other thing is that you could consider creating a Vesta chart for something where you don't really know what it is that you're going to enjoy. So, for example, like you're going on a vacation, right? But even something more than that, like you've got a family reunion that maybe you're not looking forward to, or you're trying to think about whether to take a job that you've been offered. Pull a chart for the moment that you got offered the job, or the moment that you first learned about it, or your first interview, and ask, what does the Vesta placement here tell me about what I actually might enjoy about this, right? I mean, you could even pull a Vesta chart for your next dental appointment, maybe something you're not looking forward to, and say, all right, I got to find a bright side. How can I use my information here about Vesta to figure out what I can do to get the most out of this experience? Okay, one final tip. If it turns out that the Vesta of your natal chart or your important project or your family reunion is enmeshed with Mars or Saturn, or actually any other planet, but especially Mars or Saturn, consider doing some Mars and Saturn work. So wear Mars and Saturn colors, carry Mars and Saturn crystals, offer prayers to Mars and Saturn, or engage in Mars and Saturn activities to help bring those challenging energies into your Vesta so that they stop blocking you and they start empowering you. So Mars and Saturn can be difficult, but they're also powerful planets, and they can supercharge your Vesta if you know how to work with those energies. If you're not certain what Mars and Saturn crystals or colors might be, you can check out my Etsy store, which is Spirit Said Style, and there is a cheat sheet printable there with all the information about working with Mars and Saturn and what you need. But I think if you do that and you incorporate Mars and Saturn energies in, you'll find that your Vesta flows much more evenly and you have a lot more fun fanning your own internal inner flame. I do plan to do videos about Pallas, Juno, and Ceres, who are the other 3 big asteroids. So if you've liked this one, like and subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll get notified when those come up.